I grew up in a very distorted home, a home that you would look at and be like, thank God I'm not a part of this family. And I want to make something very clear, which is that I'm going to be trauma dumping a lot of stuff about my life in this episode, stuff that I shouldn't even like mention to anybody, not even my closest friends. But instead, I'm here making this episode for you because I don't know about you, but one thing that I wish I had, beside of course having a stable family growing up, it's someone that I can talk to and have them understanding exactly what I'm going through. Like I never had anybody that I can tell my problems to and be like, I know exactly what you're coming from. But now, thanks to the internet, if you came across this and you clicked on it, then most likely either you and I have similar stories or we went through the exact same thing. Now, I don't know what to begin this episode with, but I think the best starting point is for me to mention the fact that I grew up for over 9 years without a father. I was born in 2005 and my father had left in 2008. The reason why he left in 2008 wasn't like, oh, I'm going to get milk and he never came back. The way he did it was quite unique. It was special. He told my mom that he would be moving to a different country because he got a better job offer. And with that, he would be able to make more money. So he's able to provide me and my mother with everything that we need. And that so he's able and he has the means to build me a good future. My mom loved the idea. She was like, you know what? I would rather have you move to a different country and figure something out with your life than have us fight every single day. So when my father moved, we were anticipating every day, while my mom was anticipating every day, I was still a child, that there will come a time when we are all just a loving, happy family. We're making good money. We're living very comfortably. But instead, what we got to face was the complete opposite of that. For 9 years, my father had painted the picture that he's working every single day and that he's struggling just to make sure that he's able to provide for us. When in reality, we got to find out that my father moved to a different country, got married, and had children. And the way we found out was very funny. And let me tell you how. One year, my father moved back to our home country for about 2 months with us. I decided to be the sneaky little bitch I am, and I snuck onto his phone. My father trusted me in a way where I don't think he should have, because he gave me his phone to like play games, because he had an iPhone, and one game that I used to love playing all the time on his phone, and I know for a fact you know that game as well, and it's Happy Wheels. This game was the only game that was available on iOS, and I loved playing it. Like I would take my dad's phone and I would play that game all the time. Little did he know that I would take his phone just to check his WhatsApp messages. I saw stuff that I shouldn't have seen. I saw pictures of him and my stepmom, which is Russian. I saw pictures of him and his son. I saw so many things which I shouldn't have seen. I was like, okay, how should I go about this? Should I blackmail him and tell him to give me money in exchange for me not telling my mom? I didn't end up blackmailing my father because I was still a child and I was kind of scared to do that. But I knew I had to like have my mother's back. So what I did was I waited till the last day he was about to leave the country. And then I took his phone and I went on WhatsApp and then I scanned the QR code, because if you go on WhatsApp and you scan the QR code that's on the WhatsApp profile, you get to mirror, like you get to have access to the WhatsApp of the other person. So I did that and I waited for him to leave. And when he left, I went up to mom. I was like, Mom, I've got something to tell you. And then I showed her the text and she acted like she was okay. She was like, I already knew, like I already had a feeling. But I knew deep down that my mom was hurt. Now, the next thing that happened was quite funny. When my father landed in the other country, I sent him a text of a lot of screenshots and a lot of stuff that I took from his phone. And I said, happy block. And I just blocked my father right away. My father was on a rampage after that. He would call my grandmother and be like, how come my son do that? And he would like flip out so much. And he would call my mom and be like, your son needs to be raised better. You didn't do a great job and all that kind of stuff. My mom didn't have any of it. She just blocked him as well. And then a few months later, he announced that he's gonna bring us to the country where he lives, which is Dubai. It's not a country, it's a city, but the city itself is Dubai. He was like, we're gonna bring you to Dubai. So we moved to Dubai, not because he wanted us to reunite together. It was because I found out that he has been cheating on my mom and I told my mom. So he brought us to that country with the hopes to fix things. Now you may think that us reuniting, things would be better. It's not the case at all. We move in the same compound as my stepmother lived in. And what happened was, within the first day of us being there, we found out that my father would not be staying with us at all. What he did was he brought a plastic bag full of some clothes and he was like, this is gonna stay here. When he walked in with that plastic bag, I thought that this was food. Little did I know that's his clothes. So I was like, wait a minute, that's your clothes? And then he was like, yeah. And then my mom looks at my dad and she was like, what is this? Like, bear in mind, my mother should have gotten a divorce, but she didn't. She was like, you know what, I'm gonna give him a chance. Maybe he's trying to fix things. But from the first day, we knew that, oh, this is going to be a shit show. But then my mom was like, you know what? I'll just give him a chance to try and fix things and see how things go. Every day, there were fights. Every single day, there were fights. And bear in mind, I had a little brother. Okay, there was a brother that I had, and I'm supposed to like take care of him. I'm not the only child. I know, and I just like kind of fix up some of the timelines over here. When my father left in 2008, okay, my mom flew out to him for like a month or so. During that period, my mom got pregnant again, and that was my brother. My brother came into this world, and I was his older brother. The reason why they had another son was because they didn't want me to be alone, because my father knew he was messing up a lot of stuff, and he knew that by him giving me another brother or sister, I'm not an only child. Like, I have someone with me. So fast forward years later, it's me, my mom, and my brother in a country where my father's not even staying with us, and they're having fights every single day about everything you could possibly think of. And I'm here trying to protect my brother from all the BS that's going around. But eventually, I kind of got fed up of everything that's going on. So what I decided to do is something that I do not recommend for people, which is to kind of just detach from the family. Like, I decided to be out 24/7 with my friends that I met through school and through the place that we lived in, just to kind of stay distracted from what's going on back home. And although it's nice to have friends and to be out with friends every single day, what that did was it made me completely forget about the idea of doing academically good. Like, I didn't care about my studies, I didn't care about homework, I didn't care about school. I just cared about being outside of home just to feel better. And when I would go to school each day, my teachers would be like, you didn't do your homework. Like, is there anything going on? And I would tell them that home is not the best place to be. It eventually got to a point where they would advise me to like go stay at some of my friends' house, so I'm able to do my homework and get my stuff back together. And they even advised to like call some of my friends' parents to tell them about the stories. I'm able to like stay at their house for maybe like some time. Of course, I didn't like that plan because my parents would not have it. They would probably go apeshit on me if I told them that I'm gonna be staying at my friend's house for some time just to like get my mind together. So instead, I just kept doing what I was doing. So going out every day, not caring about school, and so on and so forth. And I thought that this would fix my problem. I thought that by me staying out 24/7, I can kind of just detach from reality and feel better. However, that began to affect me mentally and emotionally in ways which I wasn't aware of at the time. It got to a point where I wasn't even able to show love to anybody or anything. I would get to a point where I couldn't even say I love you to my mom and dad. I couldn't get to a point where I truly cared about someone who was sad. I didn't know how to show love. I don't know how to show empathy. And it wasn't because I was a bad person, but just mainly because of everything that's going on at home. I genuinely couldn't show my good side. I couldn't show somebody my heart. And it's very bad because the more you're just introverted and you're not able to express good emotions, people begin to perceive you as this person that they shouldn't even be around. So for me to avoid this issue of me having friends perceive me as somebody that they shouldn't even hang out with, I began to put on like multiple faces. And it's the fakest thing I could do because I would go out, I'll pretend to be happy, I'll pretend like everything is okay. But in reality, nothing was okay. I was the saddest, most messed up person you could ever talk to. And that went on for a few years until my dad went up to my mom and he was like, you gotta leave. So my mom didn't have the choice to stay in the same country that we moved in. She had to leave with my little brother. And then he came up to me. He was like, listen, would you like to stay or would you like to leave? Would you like to stay with your friends or would you like to go back with your mother? At first, my father was contemplating me just moving back with my mom because he didn't like the responsibility of me being with him because of all the stuff that I did and how I was living life. But he decided to give me the choice because he also thought that I would make the choice to go back with my mom because how could I ever leave my mom, right? Little did he know that he was in for the biggest shock of his life. I told him, I want to stay. And at first, he thought that I was joking or that I was just confused with everything that's going on. He was like, okay, you may just have made a decision out of fear of leaving your friends. I'm going to give you a few days to think about it. A few days later, he comes back. He's like, do you want to stay or do you want to leave? I said, I want to stay. Of course, that was a big shocker for my mother because she was like, you're going to leave me after all those years? And I was like, Mom, I love you. I want to live life. Because I'll be honest, when I was a kid growing up in my home country, I didn't have many friends to begin with. I wasn't able to go out. I wasn't able to see the world. What I would go through on a day-to-day basis is school every day. And then on Fridays, family gatherings. And I would just repeat the cycle every single day until I got tired of it. So this was like how I would get to experience life, which is by me staying with my friends and staying in this country where I get to meet a lot of people and experience a lot of things. So when my mom left, I stayed back with my dad, hoping that that things will get better between the both of us. And the way I decided to go down that path was by me getting to hear his story. I was like, Dad, okay, well, I've lived with Mom all of my life and I've heard her side of the story. Tell me what's your side. Because, when you go off to cheat on your wife and have a child, there has to be a reason behind all of this. Like, it can't just happen like that. I was like, why did all of this happen? And he painted a picture of my mom being a horrible person and home was very bad because she was very bad. And he talked about the fact that within those 9 years, he tried to call, he tried to reach out to me, but my mom wouldn't let him. And I would hear all that kind of stuff. And I'll get confused in my mind. I'm like, wait a second. So who's telling the truth now? Is it you who's telling the truth? Or is it my mom who's telling the truth? And I remember that the night I had a conversation with my dad, I went to my friend. I was like, I think I have it all wrong. Maybe my dad is the victim. And I was completely brainwashed to the point that I stopped talking to my mom for 2 months. And within those 2 months, I was kind of like devastated because how can I ditch my mom after all that time and then all of a sudden believe my dad? But then how can I also believe my mom when I was a child and I wasn't able to know everything that was going on? So I was in this loophole of just who is saying the truth. And it turns out after all those years, after me becoming a full-grown man now, I've come to understand that both of them are as equally bad. And let me just tell you exactly what I mean by that before you begin to hate me for not defending my mom. Yes, my father marrying someone else and having a child is completely horrible. But seeing how my mom was after I grew up and seeing her personality as someone who can comprehend and analyze things, I got to understand that my mom is very emotionally unstable. Not to the point that she's a sick person. No, I love my mom. But to the point that the slightest disagreement with her or the slightest thing that could trigger her would cause a complete war within the house. But then, of course, my father was very pessimistic and is very selfish and is also a big liar, which is why he's also a bad person. So both people, in my eyes, speaking as a 21-year-old person now, are both bad. But I still love them because they're still my parents regardless of everything that's going on. I still love my parents no matter what, because what can I do? Like, sure, it's an unstable home, but they are my parents and I love them because I carry their name, I carry their blood, and there's nothing for me to do about it. Now, besides all of that, besides all the family trauma that I went through as a child, there's a dark side to growing up in a broken home that, if not healed, it begins to control your life in all ways. And it's the beliefs that you get to grow up with because of the effects of how you lived your life in that broken home. And many of the beliefs that I had is that life is a constant struggle and that love isn't real and that you always have to fight for your place in the sun. I grew up in a home where I was not told, but I was kind of just forced to believe that your life will always be a constant misery. And the issue with that is when I was forced to move back in with my mom in 2022 because a lot of stuff happened with my father, I believe that I mentioned the story of why I was forced to move back in with my mom in the last conversation, the last episode, so I would recommend that you check that out. But when I was forced to move back in with my mom, I had to take all those beliefs and try to heal them so I'm able to progress in life, because I reached a point in 2022 where I did not have a future. I didn't have a father who I can depend on. I didn't have a mother who can support me. Like, sure, my mother was around, but she couldn't really support me to the point of helping me with building a good future. And one of the many beliefs that I had to let go of, it's my parents and my circumstances that are imposed on me get to control how I live life. I had to completely let that go for me to finally find peace in life. I got to understand that what happened between my mom and my dad doesn't define who I am. Sure, as a child it did, because I was not able to make my own decisions and choose what stuff to believe in and what not to believe in. So my mind was like plastic that you can mold to your own will with whatever it is that you want. But now, as a grown person, I finally got to understand that everything that happened to me in the past has no effect on who I become from this moment forward. So I had to build my own future using new beliefs, which I would decide to believe in, and using new ideas of how to live life. Now, most people don't reach a point where they get to understand that their destiny is completely up to them. Like, whatever happened at home doesn't matter. Sure, it does as a person who's still young, but as you grow up, you need to heal those traumas so you're able to progress in life. Because if you don't, then you will live most of your life with the beliefs that made you live a horrible childhood. Now, you may say, well, where's the best place to start to kind of just heal my traumas? I did it by making sure that I love my parents no matter what. Sure, my father has some dark secrets, which I don't know if I should mention or I should not mention, but my father was the kind of person that has some stuff that would definitely make him a horrible person, but he's still my father and I love him. And my mom, despite her being unstable and always aggressive and in all ways, I still love her no matter what. And by me allowing myself to just love my parents no matter what and allow myself to appreciate the lessons that I went through as a person no matter what, I began to kind of just feel more safe and at peace with myself. Because the more I tried to fight my circumstances and try to hate my parents for giving me a bad life, the worse my life gets. But the more I just accept things and I give them love, regardless of what was going on and what's still going on, I get to progress in life and I also get to be at peace with myself. So here's what you should know. 1, you're not alone. 2, your childhood trauma does not define who you are as long as you heal those traumas that you went through in the past. 3, you must love your parents no matter what, because at the end of the day, regardless of how horrible they are, if they didn't hurt you physically or torture you in ways which, could be very traumatic because it's very sensitive, then you must love your parents. If they emotionally abused you to some degree, I think you should still give them some love, because maybe the reason why they turned out that way is because they went through some horrible stuff themselves as a child. So maybe we should just break the barrier and stop the loop and just give everybody love and wish them all the best and wish them all the healing that they need, and pray to God that God guides them down the right path, and do our part to make sure that we're on their side and we're supporting them in all that they need and we're helping them evolve and grow as a person regardless of their age. I hope I wasn't yapping too much in this episode. If you want to understand more about how I live life and all the traumas that I've overcome and the stuff that I do on a day-to-day basis to make sure I keep progressing in life and to keep growing in life, then please subscribe. Feel free to leave down below anything that you want me to talk about, because I'm more than happy to answer all your questions, because I always like to go by the motto, I get to prosper when I help other people prosper. So please let me know how I can help you in any way. Let me know if you want me to talk about certain things which you go through in life that I may have overcome, and I'm more than happy to see how I can help you in that area. Again, I'm just a student of life. I'm not a master of anything. I go through trauma and I try to heal it every single day. And whatever I get to learn, I want to share with you. So if you want to know how you can kind of achieve somewhat of peace in life and get to evolve as a person and achieve your dreams in some ways, then please just let me know, and I am more than happy to help you.